Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to the Ladies Room Talk Show. I'm Clarissa Kenty, your Kingdom Concierge. I am so excited about being in the show here tonight, and I have an excellent guest as always. Now, this is her first time inside the ladies' room, but I'm kind of feeling that after this first time, she's going to want to come back and hang out again. She has so many wonderful things coming down the pipeline, and I just want to be a part of all of it because it's some good stuff, guys. And I'm telling you, you can tell by the title of the show, it is going to be amazing and life-changing. So before we get into that, I want to say thank you. Thank you guys so much for all of the wonderful birthday gifts and text messages and cash apps and cards and Zales, all of the wonderful things, guys, that you have done for me for my birthday. And they're still coming in, and all of the amazing salutes that are coming in on Facebook and Instagram and all of the others. I am so totally appreciative. And certainly I want to give a big shout out to my husband, who really did a great job. He always does a great job for my birthday, but he really did an amazing time this time. I was totally shocked and surprised. Did some different things, which I really enjoyed, and just really had a great time. And this year I was able to see all of my kids. So I was excited. I was able to see my middle child, Matthew, play in Atlanta. He plays with Tuskegee, and they won double overtime. Whoop, whoop. Yes, it was great. It was great. So we had a good time there. Also, I was able to see my oldest son, who's here visiting for the week. He is here on fall break, EJ. And I was able to see my daughter, Taylor. She hung out with us in Atlanta as well. Of course, as you know, all of my children are now out of the house. 2 are in college and 1 lives in Kentucky. So to see all of them at one time for my birthday as well, it was really great and it was a treat. So again, thank you guys as well, all of you, for just making my birthday very special. I love you guys so much. And thank you again. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. Also, I want to give a big shout out to a guest that I had on the show on last week. She really did an amazing job. I enjoyed her candidness and being open and honest about celebrity life. We had Ebony Arrington on the show last week, and we just talked about just being real and being open and being honest and just living your true authentic life. Hi, Rico. And just having her on the show and having an interview really was a treat. If you missed it, go to the Ladies Room Talk Show on Facebook. You can go out there and check out that show. You can also check it out on my personal page as well. And also zoom over to YouTube. We're on there as well. Clarissa Kenty. You can check my YouTube channel out and check out that show as well. Again, that was a really quick show. She's in a play in Atlanta, and so she was able to take out time to talk to us prior to going into rehearsal. And let me tell you, that was probably one of the quickest, best, greatest, informative interviews. It was real quick, but she popped in and she just kind of shared the tea, and it was really good. So if you missed it, go back out there and check it out. Yes. Now, to introduce my guest, Christie. I met Christie maybe about 4 weeks ago now. Time flies when you're having fun, but it may have been about 4 weeks. And we really just had an authentic connection, a connection with her and her awesome husband, Matt. And we'll talk about him a little bit more as we get into the show. And Christie is an amazing author. She is the author of Life Hacks for Hard Times, and we're going to really dig into that book. And guess what, guys? They launched today. So I'm honored because she was able to be on my show the day of the launching. So I'm really excited about that. And when we talk a little bit about this book, let me tell you, you are going to want to get this book. I am a book junkie, and I have books all over the place. I have books in my studio. I have books in my office downstairs. I have books, books, books. I love books. I have them on audio. I'm getting ready to listen to Traction on audio. I also have books on PDF form that's on my Remarkable tablet as well. So I'm just a book junkie. And so now I have added life hacks for hard times into my repertoire of books too. So I want to bring to the ladies' room for the first time, Christie.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm excited. That's what I
me
am.
too.
I'm excited. You should be. I mean, you guys have been working really hard to get your book out and to launch it. And today is the big day. I mean, your baby is kicking.
Yeah, like 60 minutes ago. So.
Wow, that was close.
Yeah, it was.
Wow, I'm so excited, guys. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and put the website at the bottom. So you will see that website scrolling at the bottom there. So let's go ahead and get that book right now. It's available. We can get it right now. We can be one of the first people to get the book because today is the big day. Let's go out there and support. And it's not going to be a book, guys, that's going to be a paperweight. Trust me.
Yes.
This book is going to be life-changing. We're going to talk a little bit about her story and what really prompted her to write this book and to put her life out there. It's just really, really an amazing book, and we really want to get her onto this. So, Chris, we're going to go ahead, and there's some people who are popping in and giving their howdies and hellos. Jasmine has popped in, so she is watching the show. Jasmine, thank you so much for popping in and supporting your girl. Also, be sure to share this post, share this live on your pages so more people can learn about life hacks for hard times and what Christie is doing. And so we can help as many people as we possibly can, We have Rico on. Rico is no stranger to the Ladies Room Talk Show. He's been on a couple of times. And I think you know Rico, don't you? Christie, have you met Rico?
I don't, no, I have not yet.
Okay. Rico has been to a couple of LifeWorks networks. Okay. I don't know if he's been to your BNI yet or not. Okay. But I'm sure at some point you will meet him because we all run in the same circle. Yes. So Rico is on tonight. Dwayne, a classmate from my high school, Dwayne Scott, he is on tonight. Hello, Dwayne. Welcome back to the Ladies Room Talk Show. Jolanda Green is in. Great morning, a great afternoon to you, Jolanda. She is an amazing vocalist. So if you ever need some vocals and some nice sounds anytime, Christie,
Jolanda, that is not my skill set, so I will remember that.
And then we have Duncan Boudreau. Duncan is a huge supporter of the Ladies Room Talk Show. He comes on every Monday, and he's mostly on the sea. That's where he works on the sea, and he does a lot, but he's able to some kind of way get a good connection back to the ladies' room every Monday night. So he and his beautiful wife, Margaret, are awesome couple, and they continue to come on every Monday. So Duncan, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Yes. I appreciate that. All right, as we have more people coming in, we'll bring them in as we continue with the show. Hopefully we'll see Matt out there as well. I'm sure he's watching. So hopefully Matt will put his comment in. Matt, not my son. Matt is Christie's husband because we both have Matts in the family. So Christie, let's just tell the audience a little bit about you, your background, and what prompted you to write Life Hacks.
Yeah, I've been wanting to write a book for a long time because I've been through a lot of stuff, and I learned a long time ago. When I was young, I'm very motivated, self-motivated, and a very driven person. And I had my whole life kind of planned out ahead of me. I'm going to do this and this, and this is how it's going to go. And it pretty much has went nothing like I've planned it at all. And I learned early on that sometimes, life takes us down roads that we never expected to travel. And I needed to be prepared to travel those unexpected roads. And I learned early on, even as a teenager, that when hard times come, I have a choice to make, and I can either become bitter and resentful and hard and hate life and hate people, or I can use them and let them refine me and grow me and build character and, grow me into the person I am today. And so as I went through my late teens and early 20s and 30s, those were some of the hardest years of my life. And I continued to have one hard time after another, which we can dive into some of those specifically if you want. And I started to just realize, like, I had to fight through to the other side, and I had to but something kept driving me to do that. And I can again talk about that. And so I've been wanting to write a book for a long time, but it wasn't quite time to write my whole story. And this book isn't my story. There's lots of stories in this book. There's a story
Right.
for every chapter of personal stories for my life, but it's not my whole life story. But back in June, I really felt like the nudge inside that was like, write a book. And I was like, I'm not really ready to write a book right yet. I had other things I was doing, but I just felt this strong urge that I needed to write a book now. And but I was determined that I didn't want to just write another self-help book that people would read, they would get inspired and be like, I need life change. And then they'd plop it on their bookshelf and their life would stay the same and they would go on. Right. And so I was determined that when I wrote this book, I was only going to write it. It is going to inspire you. It is going to give you hope. It is going to encourage you. It's going to do all those things, but it's also going to empower you to change your life. And I didn't want to write a book unless it actually had tools in it, practical, tangible tools, because I'm all about the action that people could take and literally see life change and transformation, whether they're facing a hard time that's a consequence of their own poor decisions, like I've had many of those, or whether it's a curveball life's thrown at them. I've had many of those too, or whether it's something worldwide that's out of any of our control. And so that they can face those times and they can have tools that they can use to become better and not bitter. I know it's a corny statement we've probably heard many times, but and so that was my heart behind this book. And in July, I just sat down, I wrote my outline, and I spent many days and several hours on my back patio and just writing this book. And then the rest of it has been just tweaking it so it's worthy of being sold.
When I looked at the book, I noticed where you have 27 proven practical tools to help you get unstuck. And so those are a lot of tools. And so when I looked at it, I was like, man, that's a lot of tools. I wonder how I'm going to make this work. But what I like about the format of your book is that you have it sectioned off. So you have stories. You have some self-coaching questions. You have some different checklists in each chapter of the book. And so that helps you digest that book a lot better. And I think with me, because as I'm going back to read the book again and just really dive into it, I kind of skim through for the show, but I'm going to go back and just really dive in. I'm a journaler, so I like to journal. And I noticed that in your book, you speak of journaling. I think it's in your believe section. You have it sectioned off in about 3 sections. I think it's see, believe, and do. I think it's in the do section.
It is in the do section.
It's in the do section. And so, and some people talk about, well, journaling, everyone's talking about journaling, but how do you do that? And so the way you have your chapters broken down is easily to journal with each chapter, because you're making us do it. You're making us, when you have these questions, you're like, oh, okay, let me write this down. And so it really kind of, it's almost like a fun test. If anyone can think of a test being fun, it's kind of like a fun test, but you're going in and you're dissecting what you previously read. And if you skimmed over and you missed a part, you can go back, find it again, and highlight. I'm a highlighter, and I highlight and I underline my ebooks too. Okay. But I do that because there's certain points I like to go back to. So I like the format and the flow of your book, your chapters, which makes it an easy read. And a lot of people want to know, hey, is this an easy read? I really don't feel like reading a whole bunch of stuff, but your book is an easy read. It's not a long book, but it's very well put together, very well formatted, and it makes you think. And so when I'm thinking about life hacks or any type of hacks, I'm looking like, okay, what's the best, quick, most efficient way can I do whatever? And so you seem to be able to land that very well in this book. How long did it take you to get this book out of you?
The actual writing part? So, well, I have an amazing writing mentor, and he taught me how to write an outline for a book. And so I did that outline in such a way, I had to trust the process with that, trust the process, divorce the outcome kind of thing. And and I did that outline. And so when I actually sat down to write this book, I timed myself. It took me 24 hours to actually, I mean, not all at one time, but I had 24 hours. I wrote in like 4 to 6 time blocks. But because I had such a thorough outline, and because I have it structured the way I do, it was meant to be like a recipe card. Each chapter was like the title, the quote that goes with it, the story from my own life, very candid. I didn't hold anything back in this book. And then, the how to get this point, and then the checklist, and then the self-coaching questions. And so I literally, wrote an outline with the story I'm going to use, the quote I'm going to use. And then I was just able to go and just kind of pour out from my heart, the actual text of the book. So yeah, it took me 24 hours to actually write the content of the book, and about 380 hours to edit it and do everything else. I would write another book in a second if I didn't have to do all the editing.
So the easy part really was writing the book. I mean, the hard part is doing all of the bells and whistles, I guess.
Once I had the structure, the outline, and the knowing how I wanted to write this, because I was struggling with how do I put my life on paper. And then when I realized, okay, I don't need to put my life on paper for this book, but I realized, I hired my first life coach almost 20 years ago after I went through divorce and relocated states, and I started another business, and I was just at kind of my wit's end. And I remember, like, from that point, even before that on, I've been given tools that I've used to get me to the next level in life or go through the next hard time. And so I thought, if I could somehow package all of these tools that I live to this day, that I use with my own clients, and put them into a form that somebody could follow, that I may not work with personally or may never even know, then, and so when I was able to put all those tools together, and then put them into Matt was actually the one that came up with the see, believe, do, because I was like, some of these things are foundational, and then you have to have the right mindsets to be able to actually implement the do part. So that's kind of, once I came up with that, then the actual writing part was the simplest part of this for me, because I live and breathe this stuff. It's what I live and breathe. And so it's just there. It's in me.
You know what I like about you and how you've written this book, and it probably separates you from a lot of authors, is that not only are you writing something that you may have been taught or whatever, but you've actually walked this thing through.
Yes.
Well, I went through and I was able to read your intro and to talk about, and we talked about this in the green room before we came out, and about what all you've been through at the age of 19. At 19 years of age. And, and a lot of people know here on the show that my daughter's 18. And I can't imagine her just being a year older, experiencing everything that you've experienced at that age. Kind of getting out. I think you got married at 19.
I did.
And so, that's young. Mm-hmm. That's really young. And so you talked about some of the experiences and some of the wrong decisions that you felt like you may have made at that time. And so I don't know if you were divorced at 19 or not, but you had mentioned that you got divorced shortly after.
I was actually married for about 6 years, till about 26.
26.
Yes. And then, but it was rocky, and there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened in the midst of that. But yes, I tried, like, I fought for that, and had I known what I know now, would that have relationship worked or not? I don't know. But it was kind of like I did everything I knew to do, and there was nothing left to do. So at that time, so it was a road, that I never expected to walk down either, especially as a Christian woman. It's not something you go into that's favored or that's looked upon kindly. And so it wasn't the easiest decision of my life, but it was the one I made. Right or wrong, it is what it is.
Right. So. When you made a statement earlier on in the show about you had to make a decision to keep moving. And to kind of, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and, keep pushing towards. When did you make that decision? I can't imagine that you just kind of popped up and said, oh yeah, I'm going to be Wonder Woman. When did you have that epiphany that said,
Well, I think early on in my trials, when I was, one of my best friends died at 17. It was my prom date, my best friend, and he had leukemia, and that story's in the book. And, I had to make a decision then, like, okay, this God that I supposedly trust in, do I trust that he answers prayers even when it's not how I thought he should answer prayers? And how, I can't live on my parents' faith or, my family's faith right now. And so in those times early on, I had to make those decisions. And then when I went through my divorce, I think I felt like at 25, 26, I was still young. And I was like, I can just, I'm a strong person. It was like, I can rebuild my life. And never realizing that then in my, early 30s, that I would have even a bigger battle for my life with mental health and mental illness and all of that. And I realized when I was laying on my floor one day, and this is I remember clear as day. This had been years into this. I was riddled with panic and anxiety and OCD and fear, irrational fears. And I was pretty much non-functional. And I remember laying on my bedroom floor, like begging God to take my life and wondering where my husband put the gun and just shaking like a leaf and like unable to function. And I remember like this vision coming to me, and I just saw the sea of people, and I saw me standing in front of them, speaking to them. And something inside of me at that moment was like, Christie, if you can hold on and get over this, you can help other people and you can impact this world and help other people get to the other side of things that they don't feel that they can get to the other side of. And in that moment, that vision, even when I couldn't finish a sentence, when I couldn't even think straight, when my cute kids and my interior decorated house and my great husband, none of that was driving me to continue to live, but it was that vision. And so then when I look back now, and it's why I'm such a strong proponent, even with my clients, of like, you've got to have a vision. You have to know where you're going, because it will, if your why is strong enough, you'll figure out the how, And so it was that moment at the hardest time of my life where I realized, wow, it's not hope at this moment. It's not even, my faith is there and it's strong, but that vision that I had really is what propelled me through some of the times in my life where I really didn't know how I was going to get to the other side.
I have to say thank you for deciding to push forward, and thank you for deciding to hold on and to see those sea of people. Mm-hmm. Because at that point, you could have decided, you know what, forget those sea of people. To each his own. I'm out of here. You could have easily said that, but you did not. And so that's why I believe that this book is so important, and it's so good, because the energy behind the author, it's more than just words on paper. It's saying, you know what, I'm here because of this person that's reading this book. I'm here because of this person who just bought this book tonight. I'm here for that person. And even though the book is coming out now, this is probably a right now time for society, because there are a lot of people who are dealing with mental health, mental discrepancies, mental challenges. And this book, I believe, is going to be a pivotal point for people who get this book and read it. A lot of people, Christie, are dealing with anxieties. I've talked to people almost every day who deal with anxiety. Those people who are feeling like things are insurmountable and it's not attainable or achievable, or this mountain can't be climbed, much less moved. And so when you have a book like this that's written, and when you think about life hacks, or when you think about hacks in general, you think about an easier way to get something done. And so now we have 27 proven practical tools, not just practical tools, they're proven. Why? Because you've used them yourself. And here you are today to talk about it. Here you are today to write about it. So when I look at some of the format of it, and I want to go in a little bit detail here, and I have my notes in front of me. So your format for each chapter is, you have the quote, the story, key points, how-tos, the checklist, and self-coaching. What inspired you to create this as your format for each chapter?
So my mentor for copywriting, like I said, the writer, I had read one of his ebooks, and he had given like 9 different ways to get your book published by next week or something like that. I don't remember the exact.
Mhm.
And so in there was like a recipe, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. What if I did something like this? And so that's what planted the seed to start my wheels turning. And then I'm a bullet point person. So I'm like, I like to get to the point. I'm a results oriented person, and I don't like extra, only the details that I need to make a decision or to move something forward. And I thought, if I can give people, a story without all the gore, but that's enough to make an impact, and then give them the bullets but actually give them, results in that. And so it just it really came together when I started putting that recipe idea in my head. I thought, okay, what does that person need to like make, this point, make the belief that everything's happening for you, not to you, for example, come to life in their life, and my reason for sharing my own stories was for what you said. I want people to know that this is not just something I read, something I've gotten some PhD in or anything like that. This is something I actually have lived, and I live every day of my life. I still have struggles. My life is still a challenge. There's still, and so that format just, it like I said, that's the seed that started it. And Matt and I just kind of expanded on. I created this big mind map I posted on Facebook last week. I mean, it was like on dotted paper, and I just wrote down all the tools that I've used, and then I just started kind of submerging some of them and just putting it together, and just kind of fell into place.
Wow. I'm going to tell you, it's spot on. I like it. It breaks up the paragraphs and words, and it just kind of breaks up the monotony of the total reading. So it makes you stop, it makes you think, makes you review. So I like it. I love the format. I think everyone who gets this book is going to love it. Guys, be sure to go out to lifehacksforhardtimes.com. Go out there, get that book. The book launched today. Let us be one of the first to get this book. Go out there, grab the book, guys. This book is definitely life-changing, as Dee Morris had mentioned. It is a life-changing book, and you certainly want to get this in your repertoire of books. Now, do you have a bundle of products or something that you've bundled in with this book, Christie? I saw something free.
There are.
As I was looking through the book. We like free.
We do like free. So, yes, there's a few chapters in here with some diagrams. Of course, in the printed version, they're black and white. If you get the PDF download, they'll be color. But all of those diagrams and the how-tos on how to do things, such as the life wheel and how to apply that to your life, or the emotion wheel, and all of that have been put together in a PDF download package under the free resources tab, which is on that same website that you keep mentioning.
Wonderful.
So,
and guys, listen, once you get the book, I believe there is a page, which is where I saw there's a page with a QR code in it.
Yes.
And you can, take your phone out and scan that QR code and download that to your device, because like you're like I am, I love to go to my book section. Well, I have an iPhone, so I'm sorry for those who have the Droid. Anywho, but I think it'll be good to download it onto your apps, so you can refer to it from time to time if you're at work on a business meeting, or you have some free time. Just go ahead and have that as a resource. Because I like the fact that when we're purchasing the book, not only are we purchasing, but the tools that you're giving us are free. And so that kind of goes along with the book. So it's really great. Christie, have you thought about a workbook to go along with this, or is that something you're working on, you and Matt?
Matt's always working on something. Right. So he has a whole list. But I have thought about a workbook. I haven't did anything with it, but it's a thought in my head. If it's something that, we think would be, and I probably will do some, I do some group coaching packages and stuff. And so that will probably, there is a group coaching package that's live on the site right now for business owners and entrepreneurs. But there'll be other ones to come. But I have thought about a workbook. So if you think that's something, once people get this in their hands and they're like, yes, I would love a workbook, I would be more than happy to because I want people to use this. Like, I do not want this sitting on your shelf. Yes. I want it highlighted. I want it, there's checklists in here. And I suggest in the book, read it front to back, because I might tick you off in chapter 3, but just keep reading, stay with me. And so, but then go back, because you can't, this is like 30 years of work in progress in here. And so you're not going to conquer all this at one time, but read it front to back and then go, you know what, the area that I really need to work on right now is in my perspective. And then go back to chapter 2 and really dive into that area, and don't leave that area until you master it and then move on, because the magic really is in the action.
Yeah. So, I like the way you have your chapters kind of situated out. Like we mentioned earlier, you have 3 major ones. Mm-hmm. So you have see, believe, and do. And so if you look at some of this, guys, in the seeing part, she talks about just a fefew things. I don't want to give the whole book away,
no, you're fine.
But because you need to get it. So but things like, identifying your truth, your perspective on things, self-awareness, that's a part of the seeing part of it. And so she has several different chapters within this section that will help you understand and break down the vision part of the life hacks for hard times. And so sometimes it's just to identify. Sometimes you have to get really raw and naked before yourself.
Yes.
And so I can see where some of these chapters could be a bit gruesome. But hey, that if you really want to change, and if you really want to do something different, you have to do the hard things.
Yes.
And sometimes it doesn't feel the best. Sometimes some of us have been through our own journeys. Christy has mentioned her journey, and she really didn't dive in like she could. Guys, you need to get this book, because I was just amazed at the journeys that Christy has been on at such a young age and on up to where she is today. And when you look at those journeys, she has her journey. I have my journey. We all have our journeys. Mm-hmm. And so when you think within your journey it's not worth going on, then you read something else about somebody else's journey. Like, what? Oh, I can take another step. So, my goodness. So it's good to read other people's stories because you can see the strength in that, and it's an encouragement. Mm-hmm. So we want to get that, guys. I will say that here's Randall, Christy.
Hey, Randall.
But we all have, like I said, our mountains to climb. But to be able to, the way that you've put the book together, you're not really forcing your perspective on any of the readers. You're forcing us as readers to dig into our own perspective.
Yes.
And what is it that we see through our own eyes? Mm-hmm. I just like that. And like I said, I'm a big journaler, so I'm probably a little biased, but it forces you to get that journal out. Mm-hmm. It first forces you to write it out, to get an understanding and think.
Right.
Think. This is a book, guys, I believe that you don't have to. There's some books you can sit down and just read it on a airline flight. I've done that before. I've read a whole book from one destination to the other. But this book is one that I would like to take my time with, to take my time in writing these things down, and then go back and just read what I wrote. Mm-hmm. What does this mean to me? Then go back and dig into some of those highlights, dig into some of those sections with the checklist, go back on my checklist in the story and check that out. Just really date these sections and these chapters in the book. So that what happens, guys, for the life hacks part of it, this book becomes a handbook for you. Mm-hmm. So it's a handbook. You journal right along with the book. So now you can go back to it. You can check your notes. I have books, Christy, from 1999 of journals that I've written. I change my journals every year. So I have those, like I've gone back and just read things and I'm like, wow, what kind of space was I in in 1999? I just had my second child then. Who was I then? And how have I evolved up to 2022?
Yes.
And so, and like I said, I just love the way this book is written, because it forces you to write your ideas, get all of this in here and put it on paper.
Yes.
Christy, let's talk a little bit. Let's see what Dee has to say. Perspective is huge. It can be a roadblock to your future. This is very true.
Yes, that is very true.
Yes, I
Yes.
like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I love the interaction here tonight. So, Christy, after reading the book, what would you say or expect one to walk away with after we read the book?
So I think the overall arching thing, you're going to walk away inspired and encouraged, and hopeful that no matter where you are right now,
Right.
that it's, you can get to the other side. But you're also going to feel like maybe I felt for a long time that I wanted it, but sometimes in my journey, I didn't have the tools. When I went through my mental health battle, I fought for 7 years and thousands of dollars to find answers, and so and so you'll feel like I got this, I can move on, but I also now have the tools to do it. And I have the support system, even through a book sometimes, because and there's a chapter in there on support. Support is so huge for all of us, but the right support is the key. You have to have the right support system in your hard times. And so I think walking away from the other side, I would want you to feel inspired and encouraged. And if you're looking for answers and looking for change, which I would like to assume if you're buying this book, you are, then you're going to walk away and feel like, wow, I just, this is invaluable to me. And not only do I have a tool for the season that I'm in right now, because there's a book and there's a chapter in there on seasons, because whether your season is great or horrible right now, it's a season and it's going to pass. That's one thing we know for sure. And so whether you're going to have the tools for this season of your life, but with this book, you're also going to have the tools for the next season of your life. This isn't just a book on mental health or divorce or a pandemic or on a bad marriage or struggling in your job. It's not for that. The tools in this you can use in any struggle of your life, big or small.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking now at my notes where section number 2 talks about believe. A few things I pulled out of that was growth mind, your mindset, growing your mind, purpose, mastering your subconscious. Yes. So just kind of digging really deep and pulling back those layers in our minds that sometimes I was real guilty of just pulling up a whole lot of walls because of previous hurts.
Yes.
And so in order to not be hurt again, I just put the wall up. That way you can't get in, you can't get in, and you can't get in. I'm Gucci, I'm good. Right. So, nobody can get in, but that it also separates you from the good.
Yes.
As well.
Absolutely.
And so the mindset and just kind of getting to that mastering that subconscious is so key. And I like the fact that you put that in your belief section. And then your third section, you have doing. So, and that, I think it's probably the longest section.
It is.
I love it.
I'm all about the do.
I love it. I love it. And I just pulled out a few things, but I love it because, faith without works is dead. Yeah, and so, we're reading this book by faith, believing that these life hacks are going to change my hard times. And so now we're going with the insight of saying, okay, I have this expectation of this book. Let me get a vision. Let me get my head wrapped around it. Now let me go ahead and see who I am and how can I get myself out of the way so I can make these hacks work for me.
Yes.
And so now that I'm here, now what do I do? So you have things like prayer, which is key, huge component. Letting go. I'm assuming that's letting go of the past or anything else that binds you up.
It needs to let go. Yes.
Journaling, which I said I'm a big believer of journaling. Self-care, which is something that I do, but I'm taking it up to another level, Christy. I'm taking it up to another level. And self-care can mean so many things for so many people. It could be a body scrub. It could be a body mask. It could be a mani-pedi. It could be whatever. But whatever it is, implement it, do it, because we're the only ones that are going to take care of, that can implement self-care.
Yes.
So you have that as a chapter here, and you're showing us how to do that. And then celebrating our wins. That I'm still working on. I just realized this year, Christy, that I don't really have a lot of things that I like to do per se. And so I was like, man, I was making a list for some reason, and I'm thinking, hey, I don't have a lot of things that I just like. I do things because they need to be done. And in that, I enjoy them. So it's always purposed with whatever I do. There's always a purpose behind it. So
Yes.
just doing stuff just to say, "Pah, let me just go ahead and skydive today just because, I don't
Yeah.
have those things in my life." And so I think once I find a list of that, that can be a part of my celebrated wins. And
Yes.
so I think a lot of people don't slow down to celebrate those wins. Christie, you nailed it with this book, girlfriend.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a good one for that because a lot of times we look at the finish line as the next start line. We're like done and go, done and go, done and go, and we never stop. I mean, I'm the big guilty party on that, and it's like even with publishing this book, I'm like, man, I wanted this done like a month ago, and Matt's like, Christy, do you realize you wrote this book in July and it's already done? Like, but it's it's never good enough, and so but it is important that we celebrate our wins.
Wow. Janet has a nice comment here. I think you see that.
That's my mom.
I know. Hey, that sounds like a mom statement, but I wasn't sure.
They've been in the trenches with me, so they know.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Janet, thank you so much for coming in and supporting, and get out there and share this on your page with your friends and your network so that people can learn more about what your amazing daughter is doing and has done with this book. Like I said before, it's a book that I believe is life-changing. Not only can we get this book at lifehacksforhardtimes.com, we can also get some freebies out there as well. So if you wait to get the book, go ahead and scan that QR code so you can get your freebies and download that. Those are your tools that you need to go along with the book. Yes. So I believe it's going to be a good book. And as I think Dee mentioned it earlier, that is definitely going to be a book that's going to be life-changing. How much is the book? I forgot to ask.
So the book is $17.95 for the paperback. The PDF download is $10, and the Kindle is $9.99 on Amazon.
Wow, you're giving these books away.
So, yes. And then when you do get the book and download the free resources, as long as you stay on our mailing list, as I add things to those free resources, you will get those as well. So if videos or PDFs or downloads are added to those as I go, or if we come up with a workbook or anything, you will be on the list and notified of that. So
wonderful, wonderful. Yes. I'll tell you what, the first 2 people who inbox me tonight, I will buy the book for you. The first 2 people.
Oh,
the first 2 people, the Ladies Room Talk Show is going to be blessing the first 2 people who inbox me tonight. We will be purchasing your very own paperback book.
Yay.
So you can have it in hand. But if you prefer an ebook, just let me know. We can do that too. So I'm just hardback. So that's just me.
I know. And I probably will turn this into hardback at some point. And you can, when you order the paperback, Matt put a bundle on there for an extra $2. You can also get the PDF. So it's on there if you want it. The options are on there, so pick your weapon.
We like options. Yes, we love options. So guys, be sure to inbox me. Let me know the first 2 people who inbox me and say, hey, I want the book. Let me know what kind, if you want the ebook or if you want the paperback, let me know. And the Ladies Room Talk Show is going to bless 2 people with this book. I'm doing it. Why? Because I believe the book is going to change your life. So that's why I don't have a problem with sewing this into 2 people. 2 people. The Ladies Room Talk Show is going to do that. So inbox me, let me know if you want that. Okay, Randall, I will. I'll take my email. Inbox me, guys. Inbox me direct and let me know if you want this book. I'm the first 2 people, and then we will make the announcement of those who won those books. We will put your picture out there on the Ladies Room Talk Show.
There you go.
So will be more than happy to bless 2 people with that book on tonight. That'll be a wonderful celebration for the launch for today. Christy, you're amazing, girl. I'm glad our paths have crossed.
Yes.
I want to say so much about this book, but I don't want to give it away. But I will say this, guys, there is a part in there that talks about her living in a RV.
Yes. That's another part of the story. Yes.
Yes, I'll leave it like that. That's the cliffhanger. That's the dangling of the carrot.
And
That's the carrot dangle.
if you ask Matt what his favorite part of that was, he will tell you selling the RV.
Oh, I'm sure.
That will be his
Yes,
answer.
guys, you definitely want to get the book. So, again, we're so excited. Christy, before we go tonight,
Yes.
first of all, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your amazing celebration today, the birth of your book. We're excited about it. Big high five to Matt for working real hard to get everything in place for you. And a big high five to you, Christy. This is amazing. We're glad that we're a part of it and that you've allowed us to be a part of this tonight. This is huge. We think it's huge that you've allowed us to do so. Before we go tonight, I would like for you, and I'll pull you full circle here to have the main platform while you're talking. But if you could share with someone who may be going through something right now and feels like they really want to give up, and maybe they feel like, well, Christy and Clarissa may have had their issues, but mine is worse. You don't know what I'm going through. What would you have to say to that person tonight?
Who? I would have to say, if you are out there and you are feeling hopeless, I've been there. I've been there many times. But I will tell you, sometimes you're closer to your breakthrough than you thought you were. I will also tell you, I've learned that sometimes our miracle shows up in unexpected ways. Sometimes our answer shows up in an unexpected way. When I was struggling for so long with mental health issues, I didn't expect the answer that was given to me, and that's in the book. When I was in different parts of my life, there's been answers given to me that weren't the answers I was looking for. So I would encourage you, no matter what you're going through, that you may be looking for one answer, but it may be right beside you in another form. But whatever you are going through, I trust me, it's a season and you can get beyond it. Everything, it's kind of like when an artist paints a canvas and it's pretty on the thing, but if you put a black background to that canvas, it gives it a depth that it wouldn't have had otherwise. And that's what hard times do in our life if we let them. It makes our life deep, beautiful. It builds character. It molds you into the person that you would want to be. And so what you're going through right now will not be wasted. And I would just encourage you to look outside. And the other thing I would encourage you to do is you have to have support, but you have to have the right support. I don't care if you have one person in your life, one book, one podcast, one YouTube video, get something that is speaking life into you, somebody that has walked the road that you've walked before, that has got to the other side, can help give you the tools and the hope and the courage and the inspiration that you need to get to the other side of your battle. But if you're somewhere and if you're in a low place, I know that there's a lot of people out there right now struggling, and a lot of people that look put together and look good and look like they have it all together, but deep inside they're falling apart and they're struggling. First of all, you're not alone. But second of all, you have got to get support to get help and get out of it, but you have to want to get out of it. And so make a decision today that you are going to get to the other side. Make that first decision and then go look for your miracle where you may not see it coming.
Wow. I like that. Go look for your miracle where you may not see it coming. I like that. That's hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's hope. And it's something that when people get to that point in life, Christy, they lose hope.
Yes.
And what you have done today is that you have reestablished hope for the hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
You've done that tonight. Thank you. This was beautiful.
Thank you.
And guys, listen, as I said before, share this live with your network of friends, because one thing that you don't know is, as Christy so beautifully laid it out tonight, is that people can be all glitz and glam, but they're going through so much on the inside, and we just don't know who those people are. We have no idea. But by sharing a live like this on your network, to tell people about this book, to let them know that there is hope, that someone's been through a tough journey and they're here on the other side to talk about it, that hope is there.
Yes.
And sometimes people think, oh, what can I do? What can I do? Share the live. Share
Yes.
the live. Sow a book into someone. You know, just bless somebody. But this tonight, I believe, is going to really help many, many people. Christie, amazing job. You did not have to write this book. You didn't have to be open and expose yourself and be vulnerable to before. And I believe in millions of people are going to buy this book. So you are becoming vulnerable before millions of people that you don't even know. But because of your obedience to God, by him prompting you to do this, I believe that you are going to receive bountiful blessings in your life, bountiful blessings in Matt's life. You guys together as a couple, I believe God keeps good books. And because of your obedience to help those people you saw in your dream, in your vision, standing around you, needing help from you, I believe there's a 100-fold return in store for both of you out of your obedience. So thank you. Thank you for launching the book today.
I
Thank you
appreciate
for coming on the Ladies Room Talk Show. I believe it's going to really do some great, great things for a lot of people. I think Matt got a shout out there. There you go.
Everybody loves Matt.
Phenomenal tonight. So again, guys, listen, thank you so much for hanging out with us inside the Ladies Room Talk Show. As always, we'll be back here next Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And remember, go out there and share this broadcast. Remember, there are people out there who need help. Sometimes we'll never know, but a simple post can be life-changing to anyone who sees it. So again, thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. Have a safe, wonderful, and awesome rest of the week. Good night.
Good night. Thanks.
Step into the ladies' room with Clarissa.